They say money talks, but in the world of the ultra-wealthy, true power whispers. It doesn't need to shout, it doesn't need to show off. But there are those who guard the gates of luxury who haven't learned this lesson yet. They judge a book by its cover, assuming that value is determined by the brand of your shoes rather than the weight of your character. Today's story takes us into the polished, cold world of a high-end car dealership, where a salesman makes a fatal error based on prejudice, an error that will cost him more than just a paycheck. Before we step into this showroom of shattered egos, welcome back to Her Secrets, Her Stories. We are dedicated to bringing you the most powerful tales of instant karma, where the underestimated rise and the arrogant fall. If you believe in justice, please hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a moment of truth. We also want to connect with our family here. In the comments down below, tell us, what city are you watching from, what is your name, and how old are you? We love reading your answers and seeing how global our community has become. Now, let's begin. The air inside the Obsidian Motors dealership was always 3 degrees colder than the world outside. It was a calculated chill, designed to keep the clientele alert and the staff on edge. The showroom didn't smell like a car garage. It smelled of money. It was a mix of cured Italian leather, tire wax, and the expensive cologne worn by men who desperate to look successful. In the center of the room, sitting on a rotating platform like a dark jewel, was the Phantom, the Obsidian Wraith, a vehicle that costs more than most people would earn in 3 lifetimes. It was midnight blue, almost black, with chrome accents that caught the overhead LED lights like diamonds. Marcus stood by the reception desk, adjusting his gold tie for the 10th time that morning. Marcus was the top salesman, or at least, he told everyone he was. He was a man built entirely of surfaces. His suit was tailored a little too tight, his teeth were bleached a little too white, and his smile didn't reach his eyes. He scanned the parking lot through the floor-to-ceiling glass windows, waiting for his 10 a.m. appointment, a retired banker who promised to buy a convertible. Marcus didn't care about cars. He didn't care about engineering or horsepower. He cared about the commission. He cared about the feeling of superiority he got when he looked down his nose at people who could unafford to breathe the same air as him. The glass doors slid open with a soft electronic hum. Marcus straightened up, putting on his shark smile, ready to attack. But when he saw who walked in, the smile dropped faster than a stone in water. It wasn't the banker. It was a young black woman. Her name was Jada. Jada didn't look like the typical clientele of Obsidian Motors. She was wearing black compression leggings that had seen a lot of use, a gray oversized t-shirt with a small sweat stain near the collarbone, and running shoes that were scuffed at the toes. She had large wireless headphones resting around her neck and was clutching a cheap plastic water bottle. She was breathing slightly heavily, her skin glowing with the sheen of a freshly finished 5-mile run. To Marcus, she looked like a stain on his pristine marble floor. He watched her walk in, his eyes narrowing. He didn't move toward her. He didn't offer a greeting. He simply leaned back against the desk, crossed his arms, and waited for her to realize she was in the wrong place. Most people would have felt intimidated by the silence of the room. The ceiling was 30 feet high, echoing every footstep. But Jada didn't look intimidated. She looked comfortable. She walked with a stride that was long and purposeful. She didn't look at the reception desk. She didn't look for permission. She walked straight toward the centerpiece of the room, the Obsidian Wraith. Marcus felt a vein in his temple twitch. He hated window shoppers. He called them time vampires, people who came in to take selfies for Instagram, touch the leather with their greasy hands, and dream about a life they would never have. In his mind, Jada was the worst kind of time vampire. She wasn't just poor, she was disrespectful. Who walks into a showroom with cars worth $500,000 wearing gym clothes? Jada reached the car. She stood in front of the massive chrome grille, tilting her head. She wasn't taking a photo, she was studying it. Her eyes moved over the aerodynamic lines of the hood, checking the spacing of the panels. She walked slowly around the driver's side, her sneakers squeaking faintly on the polished floor. She paused at the rear wheel, crouching down slightly to look at the suspension clearance. Marcus pushed himself off the desk. This had gone on long enough. He signaled to the receptionist, a young girl named Sarah who looked terrified of him, to stay put. "I'll handle this," he muttered. He walked across the showroom floor. He didn't rush. He walked with the heavy stomping steps of a bouncer at a nightclub. He wanted her to hear him coming. He wanted her to feel the weight of his disapproval before he even spoke a word. Jada reached out her hand. Her fingertips were inches away from the door handle of the Wraith. "Don't." Marcus's voice boomed across the empty showroom, loud and sharp like a whip crack. Jada stopped. She didn't jump. She just froze her hand in midair and turned her head slowly to look at him. Her face was calm, her eyes dark and unreadable. "Excuse me?" she asked. Her voice was steady, not shaky. That annoyed Marcus even more. "I said, don't," Marcus repeated, stopping 3 feet away from her. He loomed over her, using his height to intimidate. "Do not touch the merchandise. The oils from your hands damage the clear coat, and frankly, looking at you, I doubt you can afford the bill for a detailed cleaning, let alone the car." Jada slowly lowered her hand. She turned her body fully toward him. She took a sip from her water bottle, taking her time, which made Marcus's face turn a shade of red. "I'm interested in the specs of this model," Jada said, gesturing to the car. "The online brochure says it has a V12 engine, but I wanted to know if this is the Black Badge edition with the enhanced torque. The badging on the back is obscured by the lighting." Marcus let out a short, incredulous laugh. He looked around the empty room as if performing for an audience. "The specs," he mocked. "Listen, sweetheart. This isn't a Honda Civic. We do want our specs with people who wander in off the street looking like they just finished a shift at a fast food joint. This machine is a piece of art. It costs more than the apartment complex you probably live in." He stepped closer, invading her personal space. "The dealership down the road sells used Toyotas. They have payment plans for people with ... credit issues. I suggest you go there before I have to call someone to escort you out. You are disturbing the atmosphere." Jada looked at him. She looked at his cheap suit, his fake tan, and the insecurity burning in his eyes. She didn't see a threat. She saw a man terrified of losing his tiny slice of power. "The atmosphere," Jada repeated, a small, dry smile touching her lips. "I didn't realize the atmosphere required a suit to breathe. I thought it required money." Marcus sneered. "And we both know you don't have any. So, run along. Go take your selfie outside. The glass is tinted. It makes for a better filter." He turned his back on her, dismissing her completely, confident that she would hang her head and leave in shame. But he didn't hear footsteps walking away. He heard the distinct heavy click of a car door latch opening. Marcus spun around. Jada had opened the driver's side door of the $600,000 car and was currently lowering herself into the beige leather driver's seat. The sound of the heavy door clicking open was like a gunshot in the silent showroom. Marcus spun around so fast he nearly tripped over his own Italian leather shoes. What he saw made his blood run cold, then instantly boiled with a rage that consumed his entire vision. Jada was sitting in the driver's seat. She hadn't just touched the car, she had claimed it. She was adjusting the rearview mirror. Her sweaty, gym-worn hands were gripping the hand-stitched leather steering wheel that had been imported from a boutique tannery in Florence. Marcus sprinted the last few steps. He grabbed the top of the open door, his knuckles white. "Get out," he screamed, abandoning all pretense of professional decorum. "Get out of that car right now. Are you deaf? Are you insane?" Jada ignored him. She pressed the start button. The dashboard lit up like a Christmas tree, digital displays flickering to life. The seat hummed as it automatically adjusted to her weight. "The lumbar support is better than the last model," she noted calmly, speaking more to herself than to the man screaming in her face. "But the interface seems a bit laggy. Is this the updated software?" Marcus reached in, grabbing her upper arm. It was a violation. A physical line crossed. Jada's head snapped toward him. Her eyes, previously calm, flashed with a sudden, sharp warning. It was the look of a lioness that had been poked one too many times. "Remove your hand," Jada said. Her voice was low, barely a whisper, but it carried a weight that made Marcus hesitate. He let go, but he didn't back down. "You are trespassing. You are vandalizing private property. I am calling the police." By now, the commotion had attracted attention. The glass doors opened again, and Marcus's 10 a.m. appointment walked in. It was Mr. and Mrs. Gable. They were old money. Wannabes, the type of people who bought expensive things just to tell their friends how expensive they were. Mrs. Gable, dripping in pearls and wearing a fur coat despite the mild weather, gasped, clutching her husband's arm. "Oh my God, Marcus," she shrilled. Is this ... is this safe? Why is there a homeless person in the car we came to look at?" Marcus saw his commission slipping away. He had to perform. He had to show them he was in control. He turned to the Gables, putting on a face of exaggerated apology. "Mr. and Mrs. Gable, I am so sorry. We have a security breach. Just a local vagrant who slipped past the front desk. Please, take a seat in the VIP lounge. I'll have this trash ... removed immediately." He turned back to Jada, emboldened by his audience. "You hear that? You're scaring the actual customers, people who actually matter." Jada stepped out of the car. She stood up, smoothing down her leggings. She stood barely 5'5", while Marcus was over 6 feet. But in that moment, she seemed to tower over him. "Actual customers?" Jada asked, looking at the Gables, then back to Marcus. "You think because they wear pearls and you wear a suit that makes you valuable? Let me teach you a lesson about value." "Marcus, that car has a 6.75-liter twin-turbocharged V12. It produces 563 horsepower. It is designed for silent, effortless power. It doesn't scream to get attention, it just performs. You," she pointed a finger at his chest, "are a 2-stroke lawnmower engine in a shiny casing. You make a lot of noise, but you have no power." Marcus's face turned a deep blotchy purple. He snapped his fingers at the far end of the room. "Earl's security." Now a heavy-set security guard jogged over, his boots thudding on the floor. He looked between the furious salesman and the young woman in gym clothes. Earl was hesitant. He had worked here for years, and he had seen all kinds of people. Something about Jada didn't fit Marcus's description of a vagrant. She stood too straight. She held eye contact too long. "Is there a problem, sir?" Earl asked. "Remove her," Marcus spat, pointing a shaking finger at the door. She is harassing clients. She broke into a vehicle, and she is refusing to leave. Drag her out if you have to. Throw her onto the sidewalk where she belongs. Mrs. Gable chimed in from the background, sipping the complimentary espresso. Yes, please. It's disgusting. I can smell the sweat from here. Jada didn't look at the guard, she looked at Marcus. She pulled her phone out of her pocket. It was the latest model, no case, sleek and black. She tapped the screen a few times. You know, Jada said, her voice conversational, I came here because my usual dealer in New York didn't have this specific color in stock. I needed 10 of them for my executive team, a bonus for a record-breaking quarter. Marcus laughed. It was a loud, ugly, barking sound. 10 of them. Did you hear that, folks? She wants 10. Oh, honey, you couldn't afford the tire valve cap on one of these. Stop lying. It's pathetic. It's sad. You're mentally unstable. Jada finished typing on her phone and locked it. I wasn't lying. I run King Logistics. We move 60% of the freight on the East Coast. My name is Jada King. The name hung in the air. Earl, the security guard, froze. He watched the news. He knew that name. King Logistics was a unicorn company, valued in the billions. He looked at the girl in the leggings again. He saw the focus. He saw the posture. He stepped back, taking his hand off his belt. Wait a minute, Marcus Earl said quietly. Shut up, Earl, Marcus screamed, losing all control. I don't care if she claims to be the Queen of England. She is dirtying my showroom. Get her out. I don't think he can do that. A deep voice boomed from the executive offices on the mezzanine level. Everyone froze. They looked up. Standing on the balcony was Mr. Henderson, the general manager and owner of the dealership. He was holding a bottle of crystal champagne and a set of keys. But he wasn't looking at Marcus. He was looking at Jada with an expression of pure horror mixed with desperate hope. Mr. Henderson ran down the stairs, skipping steps, nearly dropping the bottle. Marcus, oblivious to his own doom, smiled. He thought the boss was coming to help him. Mr. Henderson, thank God you're here, Marcus said, straightening his tie. I caught this intruder trying to steal the Wraith. I was just about to have her physically removed to protect our reputation. Mr. Henderson reached the bottom of the stairs. He didn't stop at Marcus's. He pushed Marcus's aside so hard the salesman stumbled into a display of brochures. Mr. Henderson rushed straight to Jada, bowing his head slightly, his face pale. Miss King, Henderson gasped, breathless. I am mortified. We were expecting you at 10:30. I had the champagne ready. I had the paperwork for the fleet prepared. The silence that followed was absolute. It was the kind of silence where you could hear a career dying. Marcus stood up, brushing off his suit. He looked at his boss. He looked at Jada. He looked at the Gables, whose mouths were hanging open. Fleet, Marcus whispered, the word tasting like ash in his mouth. She's buying a fleet. The word fleet echoed around the cavernous room. Marcus felt his stomach drop through the floor. He looked at Jada, really looked at her for the first time. He saw the watch on her wrist, partially hidden by her sweatband. It was a Richard Mille, a watch that cost more than Marcus's house. He saw the way the general manager was practically trembling in her presence. The reality of what he had just done crashed down on him like a tidal wave. He had just assaulted, insulted, and attempted to evict a woman worth hundreds of millions of dollars. A woman who had walked in ready to spend, by his quick calculation, nearly $5 million in a single morning. That commission alone would have been enough to retire on. Jada looked at Mr. Henderson. Then she slowly turned her gaze to Marcus. Her expression softened, but not with kindness, with pity. Mr. Henderson, Jada said coolly, your employee here seems to be under the impression that your cars are only for people who wear polyester suits and fake tans. He is fired. Henderson blurted out instantly, he is gone. Marcus, pack your desk. Get out now. Marcus stammered, his hands shaking. Sir, please. She. She didn't look. She was wearing whatever she wanted. Henderson roared, his face red, because she is the customer. And you just cost this dealership the biggest contract of the decade. Jada raised a hand to stop him. No, Mr. Henderson, don't fire him on my account. Marcus let out a breath of relief. Maybe there was mercy. Maybe she would forgive him. He stepped forward, a pathetic, hopeful smile forming on his lips. Miss King, thank you. I see now that I made a mistake. I misjudged the situation. If you'll allow me, I can walk you through the paperwork personally. I can get you a discount. I can stop, Jada said. The word was soft but final. I didn't say keep him because I forgive him. I said don't fire him because he taught me something valuable today. She walked over to the obsidian wraith one last time. She ran her hand along the hood, leaving a deliberate, visible smudge on the pristine paint. Marcus flinched but didn't dare speak. He taught me that this dealership values appearance over substance, Jada continued, her voice projecting to the Gables, the security guard, and the trembling receptionist. You see, I didn't come here just to buy cars. I came here to see if you were worthy of my business. I work 18 hours a day. I sweat. I bleed for my company. Sometimes, I do want to have time to put on a dress to impress a salesman who earns less in a year than I generate in an hour. She turned to Mr. Henderson. I can't trust my fleet to a company that hires people like him if his judgment is this flawed. How can I trust your service department? How can I trust your engineering, Miss King? Please, Henderson begged. We can fix this. I will handle your account personally. I will give you 20% off. Jada shook her head. Respect isn't something you can discount, Mr. Henderson. It's full price. And you can't afford it. She turned on her heel, her sneakers squeaking on the marble. She walked past Marcus, who was now pale as a ghost, staring at the floor. As she passed him, she leaned in close so only he could hear. By the way, Marcus, you were right about one thing. The glass is tinted. She pointed to the massive window. It means I can see perfectly clearly across the street. Everyone looked. Directly across the boulevard was the competitor's dealership, a pristine white building with the silver logo of their biggest rival. Jada walked to the door. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to walk in exactly as I am. And the first person who offers me a bottle of water without looking at my shoes is going to get a $5 million commission. The glass doors slid open for her. She stepped out into the warm air. Behind her, the silence of the showroom was broken only by the sound of Mrs. Gable whispering, "Oh my God." That was Jada King. Jada didn't look back. She crossed the street, her head held high. Through the window of the rival dealership, Marcus watched as a salesman there, a young guy, new to the job, ran out to open the door for her, smiling, handing her a water bottle before she even asked. He watched as Jada shook the young man's hand. He watched as his future, his commission, and his career dissolved into the heat of the afternoon. Mr. Henderson turned to Marcus. The vein in the manager's forehead was throbbing. "Get out." Marcus walked out of Obsidian Motors carrying a cardboard box with a stapler and a fake plant. He sat on the curb, loosening his gold tie, watching as 10 luxury cars were driven off the lot across the street, sold to the girl in the gym clothes. He had judged her for being cheap, but in the end, his arrogance was the most expensive thing in the room. This story reminds us that in a world obsessed with images, the truest power is often the quietest. Never look down on someone unless you are helping them up. You never know who you are talking to. Thank you for watching her secrets, her stories. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs a reminder that humility is the ultimate luxury. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.